Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey guys, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with Sam and John. As you can see, I am flying solo tonight. John has to work some overtime. Right off the bat, I want to apologize. Please stick with us as we work out all of these, I'll say, glitches in the system. We have had to transition over to a different streaming software, and like right now I'm being told that I might not be live on some of the platforms, so I do apologize. Trying to keep up with the streaming here. Stick with us. We have some incredible information to bring to you tonight. Hopefully we've got lighting and sound, but as always, you know, we are here for you. This is all about, as John says, Mental Health Monday. We are all about health and wellness for you all, for our first responders out there. And what we need you to know is that you matter, and we hear you, and that you are not alone. And so, you know, our guest tonight, she has had an incredible career. Started as a police officer in Chicago. You've also heard us talk about the problems in the Chicago Police Department, which continue. She will tell us her story and what she has done, creating an entire, I'll call it, environment where not only first responders can land, but family members can land, whether you're in crisis looking for a way out of crisis, and everything in between. She's put together the First Responders Wellness Center. And so we are going to bring Dr. Carrie Steiner into the TV show. Hey, Carrie, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Hey, we're just going to dive right in. And whether you are watching live through OBBM TV network, or you're streaming us on your favorite social media platform, or you're listening on your favorite podcast app, it seems like we're everywhere. Carrie, tell everybody listening and watching about you, your background, and how you came to develop the First Responders Wellness Center.
Well, thank you again for having me. I began my career in the Chicago Police Department in 1998. And when I hit the road the very first day, my FTO told me that we were going to a wake. And I told him, I'm sorry, you know, who did you lose in your family? And he was like, oh, it was an officer on days that killed themselves. And I was like, oh, and he said, oh yeah, he had personal problems. And then that year, and in Chicago, we have 25 districts at the time. And I was just in one of the districts, and each district probably has like 300 to 400 people. And that year, 3 other people committed suicide in my district alone. And I was told also that they just had personal problems. And so I was like, wow, there are a lot of people with personal problems here, you know? And then as I started to experience, you know, a lot of trauma, I almost got into a shooting twice my first year. I also had a partner that in Chicago, we work as a 10-4 unit. So that means like we have a partner sitting next to us. And I had worked for him. I worked with him for about 18 months, and you get very close with a person like that. Mm-hmm. And I was working midnights, and he was always early. And one day I came in and he wasn't there. And I thought, wow, this is really strange. This is kind of dating me, but we didn't have texting and things like that. So I was calling him on the phone and like, where are you? I need to, he only had a couple years on the job. So I was like trying to figure out like, what can I say to tell the lieutenant, why he's running late? That would be a good excuse. And then the lieutenant came in and told us, the whole roll call room, that my partner died the night before. And he died of positional asphyxiation underneath his steering wheel because he was so drunk. And I knew that he drank a lot. And there were even some times where he came in and I felt like, maybe I should drive, and he's like, yeah, maybe you should. But I was told as a PO, keep your eyes open and your mouth shut, right? And so that's what I did. But I lost people, and I lost people that were really important to me. And as I continued my journey as a police officer, I not only experienced my own traumas, but I saw other officers experiencing their own, and people, having trouble with their relationships, having trouble with alcoholism, developing PTSD. And one of the old timers had shared with me that, kid, you should always have a backup plan. So he was like, at the time, Chicago had this thing that you could go to school, and as long as you got an A, they would cover it 100%. So he was like, you should go to school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. And I thought, well, what should I go to school for? And I thought, being a therapist would be easy.
Right. Little did you know.
And so I was like, I listen to people's problems all day. So, and I'm just going to sit in an office. That'll be easy. So I decided, why not go back to school? I already had my bachelor's. And so I just thought, I'll go to school and get my doctorate, and after 20 years, 25 years, I'll do that part-time. And as I was getting my doctorate, I started to recognize even more, mental health issues with my colleagues and even with myself. I started to realize like, wow, I'm not responding quite as normally, to things. I'm much more hypervigilant. I'm ready to attack people. And so with, getting that education as I was a police officer, it kind of started to just come together for me. And I was also a CIT officer, and I did hostage negotiation. So we taught crisis intervention. And so a lot of people knew me because I would go out on the high critical incident calls, but also I was teaching CIT. So just people would know me. And the thing that kind of, really instigated me leaving the department early was that an officer called me and said, hey, I have a gun in my lap and I want to kill myself. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, why don't you go to EAP? I'll meet you there. And he said, I just left EAP. And EAP was the Employee Assistance Program that we have at the Chicago Police Department. And I knew for myself that when I went there, after I was mandated because I was in an officer-involved shooting, I did not have the best experience there. And when he said, I feel like they are kind of just minimizing my problems and I feel worse. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and I was thinking, trying to use my clinical judgment. Here's this guy that doesn't really know me. He only knows that I'm going to school for, my doctorate. He met me last week, but he called the EAP, made an appointment, went to it, didn't like it, and is still calling me. Right. And it was at that moment that everything kind of came together. And I was like, he doesn't really want to kill himself. He wants help and he doesn't know where to go. And at the time, I felt like the only option that Chicago gave was going to EAP. And I thought, that's not right, because what if people don't like EAP? Then where do they go? And we had no other option. And so that's when it just hit me. Do I want to work on the street for people I don't care about? Or do I want to work for my brothers and sisters who I do care about and I've lost way too many of? And so that's when I decided I'm going to leave early and I'm going to open up the First Responders Wellness Center to have a place that first responders can go to. And all we see are first responders So you can have your weapon here, you can be in uniform, you can, however you want to come is how you come. We do see spouses of first responders, but that's it. And we, again, are very catered to that community. So you would never run into somebody that you've arrested or, that you had to, do a search warrant for. And it really makes our officers and firefighters feel more comfortable. We also have a door in and a door out. So there's a little bit more privacy. So we do a lot of things that make people feel more comfortable.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a difference. We've got to take our first break. When we come back, Carrie, we're going to pick up right where we left off. But I've got some questions for you based upon your experience. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
Forget Zoom, try Meetin. Meetin is a brand new video meeting service. And not only is Meetin simpler and easier to use and more powerful, Meetin also has the right values. Here at Meetin, we believe in freedom. We believe in privacy. We believe in America. And we are apolitical. Now, to get your free forever version of Meetin, just go to meetin.com, spelled this way. And then where it says promo code, type in the word special. That's your promo code. Okay? So go to meetin.com, type in the word special, and you'll get Meetin free forever. I'm Rick Raditz. I look forward to serving you as a customer of Meetin.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with Sam Sans John, who had to work tonight. It is a life he works, for those of you that don't know, he works dispatch for lots of hazmat stuff. So when people fall ill, he gets tapped because, well, the guys that have the most experience always get tapped for the overtime. So John, we wish you well. And hopefully you've got, an ear pod in or something listening to the show. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Carrie Steiner. She is the founder of First Responders Wellness Center. And you've got a couple of centers in and around Illinois, Chicago, and that from what I can tell from your website. From listening to how you started on the job as a Chicago police officer, I will say it's not a surprise that you eventually left like way earlier than you thought. There's a lot of us, we thought, that was going to be our career for 20 plus years, and things just happened. And we went on a different journey. And, there is something about Chicago Police Department, and we've been up there, we've done workshops for them. We've met a lot of people from neighboring agencies, and frankly, it was the neighboring agencies that took the wellness a little more seriously. Is it like if you're with Chicago PD and you, I don't know, confidentially get help, like somehow you're going to be found out and you're going to lose your job? Since 1998, Carrie, nothing has changed, and it's 2025.
Yeah, there has been a little bit that's changed, but there is huge stigma still at Chicago for getting mental health treatment. And because people are scared that will somebody want to work with me if I am seeking mental health treatment? But I always share to people, would you rather have somebody that was in therapy last night thinking about how to cope with the stressors, or would you rather have somebody that was thinking about eating their gun last night? Who do you want to work with?
Well, here's my question, though, because you, as a practitioner, know this. The job doesn't know. If you use your insurance, you come to you or another one of your practitioners. How is anybody going to find out?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that actually negatively impacts Chicago police officers is their EAP said, we don't take notes and there's nothing that anybody can get. And I think that really made Chicago police officers think that, oh, so if I go to a normal therapist, then they can get notes and they can get subpoenaed and then it's not confidential. And so I think that although I think the intention behind the EAP saying we don't even take notes is to get people to come. I think what it did is it made people even more scared to go to a clinician outside, because then they're like, oh, they write notes. Now I'm going to be screwed. But they don't understand that we have confidentiality. We cannot share notes with anybody. You actually have to have a release of information to do that. There's actually more confidentiality with psychological notes than there are physical notes. So people just have to be educated about this.
And I go back, EAP, there really has been since for all the years that not only John and I have been doing this show, but beyond in our own experiences, there's really been only one practitioner that we've ever met to set up a successful EAP program. It's out of Florida. And in the department that I moved on from, EAP was a punishment. Like, we turned it into a verb, like, oh, that person got eeped, right? We had, locally, we had a new chief come in, completely change around the mental health and wellness programming for that department. What did he do? You had to go through EAP. What happened? Suicide. Right. All I can say is, unless your EAP program is set up as a fail-safe, we're going to continue to lose officers. And so I just hope that we have some higher ups watching the show, or maybe the person watching can get them to a higher up to say, if you're going to invest in your officers, invest in the time to get your EAP right. Yeah. And that means zero threat that they may lose your job. And just hearing it from your face, right, that doesn't work. Right. You have to have it written in policy so that if EAP personnel does violate a confidentiality agreement, that they're on the hook, that the officer may sue that EAP personnel and get compensation, because they'll probably be out of a job due to the EAP speaking, releasing notes or whatever it is. And the whole I don't take notes stuff, whatever. We'll leave it at that, because they it's after you walk out the door. I don't think these officers are stupid, certainly. Right. Exactly. They've been there, done that, like, hey, we're not writing anything down, and then as soon as the interview's over, they're at their desk, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. So, it is, EAP is just one of those things. And I think if you force it that way, well, we'll just use Chicago PD as an example. It's not getting any better. And you're 1998, it's 2025. And it pains us to know that we've actually been there, we've met with the people, and that for whatever reason they won't reach out. And that's one of the reasons why John and I wanted to have you on, because what I want to do when we come back from our next break is I want to get into the nitty-gritty of what First Responders Wellness Center, what it looks like and what it does, so that the men and women who bravely serve the city of Chicago and beyond can pick up the phone and get the help that they absolutely deserve. So we will be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing, so when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carrie in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carrieintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carrieinTexas.com today. That's carrieinTexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV. Hey, I should have started off tonight by saying Happy Independence Day, Texas. It was yesterday, but we observed it today. So with that, be a responsible Texan. Check out Carrie in Texas. I'm your instructor, and we'll get things done. But back to the show here with Carrie Steiner, founder of the First Responders Wellness Center. And so, Carrie, take us through, we'll just role play. I'm a Chicago police officer and I need some help. And I absolutely know that EAP is not for me. I find where do I find your resources if I'm a cop?
So we have a website, and we are also at the Chicago FOP on the second floor. So they just give us a call and, give us their contact information, and then we schedule an appointment, and then we take their insurance. And so then you meet with one of our clinicians. And the neat thing about the First Responders Wellness Center is all of us are former law enforcement, first responder, or veteran. So we have done the job. And I think that really makes a difference when you're talking to a clinician, because we understand a little bit better. And I'm not saying that you have to be a good clinician, but I think that breaks the ice. And especially for Chicago, where when I was a Chicago police officer, and I would say that many of my comrades felt the same way, when we'd have clinicians come in, we would not give them the time of day, because you're like, you don't know what we go through. Yeah. And so I think that, when I talk with an officer who's been in an officer-involved shooting or has seen an officer commit suicide and things like that, I'm like, yeah, I know what that's like. And although it's not exactly the same, I can relate. And, I think that shared experience is a huge deal.
Yeah, being culturally competent is absolutely a huge key, because, we don't trust.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So you build that camaraderie off of, hey, I've done what you do, and I understand a lot of it. We still get, I'll call them young people who their heart is in the right place. They want to help first responders, and we'll meet them at a conference, and they come up and be like, well, we want to help first responders, and be like, oh, do you come from a first responder family? No. Veterans? No. Do you have anything that ties you to the community where you understand what wearing the badges or being deployed, what that means? No. Do you have any family members who have served? No. God bless you for wanting to help. Yeah. My greatest suggestion to you is that, and I understand you might be an LCSW already, is get into a practice that treats first responders. You need to get mentored, and you need to be brought in and sat in on those conversations. So then you can decide if that's something that you can truly handle. And when I say that, it's like, what do you mean? That you can see the gears, like, what does she mean by handle? Absolutely. Because Carrie, you know it from the call takers at some of the hotlines that have never served. Yes. And they don't know what to do.
Well, our officers, particularly often do like things to shock people. So they'll be like, well, I saw a dead baby in a coffee can last night, just to see what is the clinician going to do. And if you're like, then they're like, okay, done. I'm not going to see them. Right. So we're used to that. And because we have been, and experienced many things, we're like, okay, and not kind of such a big deal. Again, we do get desensitized. We get more numb. Again, that can be good and bad. We need to find that balance. But I think that is where, again, a lot of people do come to our center, because they do feel like, oh, I can talk like the police, and I can talk like a veteran. And, we assume that everybody is armed here. So we're not like, oh, surprise, I see an ankle holster.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. So I was lucky enough to get over to the FOP, got to the second floor, made that phone call. You guys have done the intake. Now I have my appointment. What does, and I'm coming right from duty. So I'll be out of uniform because that stays in the locker. And I'm walking in your front door. And what does that look like?
So on the second floor, it's just basically our offices. And there is a conference room on the other side. But if you come to our side, it's just basically a door. There is a couch where you would sit and wait for us. But because we are paramilitary, if you are being seen at 1300 hours, you are going to be seen at 1300 hours, not 1310. So we are very much, Johnny on the spot with that. And so then we open the door, and our door then has another table, and then it has two offices. And so we would go into one of the offices. We actually just soundproofed the offices. So there is no ability for anybody to hear anything. And again, there is another way out that you can take. You can take the stairs up, you can take the stairs down, you can take the elevator. So there's different ways to go up and down. So if you did not want to see somebody, you didn't have to. We usually do try to space people out. So if I'm seeing somebody at 1 o'clock, my colleague sees somebody at 1:30. So you're not, seeing people. But again, if that's a big issue for you, we ask you to let us know. And then we can even text you and say, okay, come in, or, come to the bathroom or something. We're very mindful of that. But also, because it's the FOP, you could be there just to get some t-shirts. And so most people don't know, and it's not a big deal. I do understand that obviously the third floor, people do go there because maybe, they are having problems with, something that happened, or they're trying to get union representation. But you can be there for lots of reasons. They have trainings there. So we really feel like it's a pretty neutral place. But if somebody didn't feel comfortable with that, we do offer telehealth. We have an office in Lincolnshire and as well as in Lombard. And so we have many different places for somebody to go to feel comfortable.
Okay, so they can actually go out of district, which is what a lot of folks do.
Yep.
Especially if they're meeting for peer support and stuff. So they're not in their town. Wow. So that takes another layer of the stigma away, that you absolutely 100% value not only confidentiality, but you've put the thought into how you have physically created your office to be that safe space for them to chat, and then to leave as well as quietly as they came in. So I'm hoping for everybody that's listening, these are the kind of things that first responders should value when they're looking for some help, and there should be no barrier. The time for stigma, we get it, but the time to hide behind it is over. Yeah. You deserve the best for you so that you can serve an entire career, whatever that looks like, in whatever department you're in. Now, one quick question before we have to take our next break is, if somebody calls and they're out of state, are you guys licensed to do stuff with out of state first responders?
We are not. If they're federal, we can, because that's taken anywhere, but otherwise we're just in Illinois. You see a lot of people all around in Illinois, and that's why we do telehealth, because there are some people that are 4 or 6 hours away, and so we can see anybody in Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois is a decent sized state. So, all right, so if you're a Fed and or in the state of Illinois, Carrie's got you covered. We got to take our next quick break, and we will be back to continue the conversation. Stay tuned, everybody.
Leftovers again? It's time for something we haven't had in a long time. It's time for something right. It's time to make the right choice. OBBM Network TV is always the right choice. Choose right.
All right, we are back. A Badge of Honor TV, powered by the OBBM Network. Thank you, OBBM TV, for all of your support, putting this show out there. Hey, if you are looking for family programming that matters, for programming and a company that supports its first responders and its veterans, look no further than OBBM Network. You're a small business. Get with us at badgeofhonor.org. Fill out that form because we want to feature you during our programming. So if you are in the local DFW area, contact badgeofhonor.org, fill out the form, and we'll get a commercial made for you and get it jamming. So back to the show with Dr. Carrie Steiner. The way that you have, again, thoughtfully created not only your center, but the actual construction of the center, it's pretty impressive. I think you're the first guest that actually talks about the monetary investment that you put in for soundproofing. Mm-hmm. A lot of places that I've been, put out the little white noise
sound
or
machines. Yeah.
Sound machines.
Yeah, we have sound machines, but we've actually done
soundproofing. So you've got kind of a double layer, and I am just hoping that if you're in Illinois, specifically Chicago PD, folks, Carrie was one of you. Her staff, they get it. Okay, please you do not have to suffer in silence. Pick up the phone. We'll be putting up the website here shortly, and you are absolutely doing amazing things. Carrie, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about the family, because when an officer serves, the family serves. And so I'm a spouse of a police officer who happens to be a veteran. I can tell you that he's got stuff from his time in service that he's carried into the PD. What services do you have for me, the spouse?
So we offer individual as well as couples therapy, and then we have a group support, a group therapy for first responder spouses. And that meets the first Thursday of every month at 6:00. And again, you can join in person or virtually. So we really try to make it accessible for people to be able to be part of that program. And again, anytime one of our first responders is in a critical incident, we always encourage that person to bring in their spouse for one session to help them understand what they're going through, what is common reactions to that. So again, we also try to, again, because we are in, again, I fully believe that first responders have their own culture. And so we oftentimes with our spouses talk to them about the cultural aspects of being a first responder spouse. We also do presentations for spouses as well, where we do education as well.
That is just absolutely brilliant. John and I, we talk all the time that what you do and the way that you bring the spouses into the fold, we need to have that at, like, when they're in recruitment school, right? When they're going through the academy. Do any departments bring you guys in to kind of share and also talk about the culture, but what is available to the spouse to help them understand?
Yeah, we actually, there's more and more departments in the suburban Chicagoland area that are actually requesting that we come out and we do spouses training, helping them understand, because I talk about it as a lifestyle, is that if you have a person that is a veteran or a first responder, you have now entered into a new lifestyle. It's not a career, it's a lifestyle, because you are going to be potentially working shift work. You are going to be, mandated overtime. You're going to be doing all of these different things, and it affects the whole family. Right. So we really try to talk about that and help that family member really understand that you are now into a lifestyle and you didn't really choose it, but you're in there now. And so I think that that's what's hard about being a spouse, is that you're like, I didn't sign up for this, but yet I'm affected by this. And that's what's hard about being a spouse of a first responder.
Well, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and I love that it is a lifestyle. With how did you guys like fall into and discover that the group for spouses, having group meetings and bringing people in, if they can't be there via Zoom or however you guys do it, how did you discover that, hey, being together is really helpful?
Well, I think what we saw is that when we were seeing spouses individually, they all have a lot of similar complaints or problems. And we're like, you need to know that you're not the only one there. So, what we would hear a lot from wives is that my husband goes out with me for dinner and all he's doing is scanning the room and he's never looking at me in my eyes. And I don't understand that. And I'm like, you know what he's doing is he's actually making sure it's safe because he loves you so much. So that's what he's doing. He's not trying to pay attention to you. And so, we just have very similar things because, again, it's a culture. And so when we talk about in the spouses group is really the culture is that this is normal and your spouse is likely to do that too. And so it kind of gets rid of that it's only an individual problem with me and my spouse. And it's like, oh no, this is a cultural thing that all of us are experiencing.
Sure.
I think that makes a huge difference with the spouse group is that they don't feel so alone. And then they also feel like, I think what our spouses group has done is that even outside, they've developed relationships and they go to each other. Obviously, if there's a crisis, we encourage them not to do that. But if it just, general support or talking, it's a community that we're building.
Yeah, I think about the veteran spouses, or not the veteran spouses. Sorry, I misspoke here. The spouses of those on deployment, whether they're living on base or off base. If you got somebody in and they go away, it's always having that support system. And normally the person that leads it is it's like, hey, call me. My husband's been on deployment, 4 times. So they're like the leader. So this is great because I would imagine you have anywhere in the spouses group, those spouses that have been in group for however, a year. And then you've got the new spouses group and everyone's like, oh yeah, been there, done that. Yeah. So it really is their own form of peer support in a way.
Absolutely. It's great because in group, you just see a lot of head nodding, and I think that's where like people feel like, oh God, I'm not alone. Everybody gets it here, and usually when people speak, they're like, okay, I'm going to say this and I'm really nervous. And then all you see is head nods. Oh yeah.
Sure.
And so it really feels validating. And I think it helps also create that this is a culture and you're part of it. And we have the red and the blue and the green line and please, here you are,
Yeah. And, we've talked a lot about police officers because of your background, my background, and frankly, the mess that Chicago PD still is. But we'd be remiss if we left out the fire department because there is being a member of the Chicago Fire Department, that is not like a, hey, kick your heels up. Oh my gosh, if you read the news on any given day, the stuff that they're seeing and are exposed to, and sometimes they're there first and then they're calling the police department because they've made discoveries. So do you have, you clinically, you see fire department personnel as well. Do you mix the family, the spouse, with the group, or do you have separate?
Right now, we are just doing a police group. But again, we are expecting to expand that. And again, we would love to have a fire. But again, right now, if we had people that were interested, they could come to that group as well. Because it's not just like you can only be police.
Sure.
It can be anybody, but right now it is filled with mostly police. Okay. I think that what is hard with being a Chicago fire men is that because you're working in that group atmosphere, it's hard to show, ooh, this is bothering me. Again, that's the same as the police, but at least the police can go away in your squad car and go away and sit somewhere. And you're in the house, everybody sees you, and it's harder to get away. And I think that stigma is even higher in Chicago Fire than it is Chicago Police, which I was actually surprised.
That is surprising.
Yeah, I think that it's worse. And I think that they still see it more as, a weakness in character. And I talk to people all the time is that if you get a burn, are you just going to be like, oh, well, yep, it's bubbling and, oh, well, I'll just stick it out and I'll be tough. Or do you go, I need to put some treatment in there, I need to do something. And maybe I need to go to the doctor because this looks really bad. And it's the same thing is that we are going through, as firefighters and police officers and EMS, all of these things, so much trauma. There's going to be a time that you're going to have to see a doctor and say like, yeah, this is too much. I just saw 2 people beheaded in that traffic crash. That is not normal. And, I'm going to need to talk to somebody. Just like if you break your leg and you have a bone sticking through, you're going to be like, yeah, that's a little bit more. I need to see a doctor. Right?
Exactly. You can't rub some dirt on that.
Exactly. And we have to start seeing it the same way, is that psychological health is the same as physical health. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's more important because we still have more officers and firefighters dying by suicide than they are in the line of duty. So we need to stop that stigma and say, no, this is ridiculous, because think about how much we train to protect ourselves on the job and do trainings, and we don't go, that's bullshit. But yet we do, oh, well, I don't want to talk about mental health. Really? Because you're more likely to kill yourself than be killed in the line of duty. So let's just stop and just get real.
Yeah, I love it. That stop and get real. Amen to that for sure. We got to take our last quick break. When we come back, we will wrap up. We'll talk about how people can reach out directly through your website. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Rise and vibe with your new elevated morning ritual. Meet Rise by Frequency. Frequency charged nutrition. Rise is formulated with a blend of 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, amino acids, and green coffee bean extract. Rise supports brain health, performance, and focus while enhancing mood, mental clarity, and energy. Enjoy the delicious mango lemonade flavor while giving your mind the nutrients it needs. Get charged up with Rise. Fuel your body and mind today.
All right. Well, that was an abrupt ending to the Frequency. And so, we talk about rising and vibing with me and John every week. Why Rise Nootropics? Because Rise Nootropics supports a healthy you, which means your brain is healthier, you have better mental clarity and cognitive function. It is blended with 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, amino acids, and 100 milligrams of caffeine from organic green coffee bean extract. And yes, it does matter where your caffeine comes from. Everything comes together. It tastes like mango lemonade. I take it as a pre-workout, so I am in the zone. It is sugar-free, which means it is keto-friendly. And it's super easy to get. John and I put together a bunch of different packages for you. So if you go to abadgeofhonorhealth.com, that's abadgeofhonorhealth.com, in case you're listening on your favorite podcast app, grab your Rise. You can read about Source. We've got the science up there. It is a game changer. Put all the energy drinks aside. Stop poisoning yourself. Get real good nutrition and rise and vibe with me and John every day at badgeofhonorhealth.com. Back to the show with Carrie Steiner from the First Responders Wellness Center. And I'm going to put up your website right now so that people can get in touch with you directly. So, hey, firefighters, you know what? I don't know. This is Sam's PSA. I don't know if you have shared bunk rooms or whatever. There's been a lot of renos here. I can speak for those around us in Texas. What I've heard is they go back to their bunk rooms and they only have one bunk. So there's only one person and they're now texting each other to kind of get a little, let the steam off, if you will. So, hey, if you got to do that, do that. But firstresponderswellnesscenter.com. Carrie, is that the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, that or calling us at 630-909-9094.
Thank you for putting your number out there. And, you know, it is so important that we just put out that you were a cop, a Chicago police officer. You have everybody in your staff is culturally competent. Is there any way where you can beat the drum, or we can help you beat the drum a little bit louder to get Chicago police officers to just forget EAP and come right to you? How do we beat the drum louder? Because John and I, it's like every other week we're finding out there's another one.
I know. Yeah, we've had 4 already this year.
And they're saying it's personal. It's like,
right.
Especially the one that involved drugs. No. That was,
right.
Call it what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that that's one of the things that needs to change is we need to stop saying it's personal issues. It's you don't have more people killing themselves in one department comparatively to all other departments, as well as in generally one profession than another. So we have to start saying, hey, there's too much stigma here. I think that, again, the issue is that because EAP said that we won't write any notes, and that is the only go-to for Chicago police officers, is they only say, just go to EAP. We need to start giving people other options. And again, I don't care if you come to the First Responders Wellness Center, go wherever you want to, but we can't have only one option for people. And that's why I created my centers, so they have at least one other option. And I think that for anybody, right, if you only have one option, and if that doesn't work for you, then where do you go? So that is just not okay. So that's one issue. But one of the things is that we accept your insurance. We have lots of different ways. We work with Bank the Blue and the Headstrong Project. So we have other ways to get you services if you don't want to go through your insurance. Also, in the state of Illinois, around July, they passed a bill that first responders are no longer going to have to pay a copay or a deductible for getting mental health services. So there is no reason at all for anybody to say, I can't afford it. Right. And really right now, all it is a $20 copay for Chicago. So that's not that much. And again, we work with people all the time to make sure that that is not a barrier to treatment. I do this because I care. It's not about the money. So we will figure out a way if that is too much for you.
Well, that is amazing. Again, firstresponderswellnesscenter.com. And there is no barrier. And I'm glad that your legislature did that. And, you know, we will be, when the show goes up tomorrow on every replay, I maybe they have a drum meme, because I swear, Carrie, it is, we've got friends in Chicago. We're going to make sure that I'm going to send them the direct link. And it's like, you need to put this out there for your folks, because hiding behind what you call a personal issue not only is an insult to the memory of that police officer, but it's an absolute insult to their family. And it's an insult and another black eye on the department as a whole. How many more black eyes do you need? We've got to cut the crap. We've got to, you know, leave this stigma BS aside, because we're, like you said, we're over that. Mm-hmm. You can go outside the department. You have been able to all along, and anybody telling you that you can't, you need to find somebody immediately, get on the phone with peer support that can get you to the firstresponderwellnesscenter.com. But Carrie, it was one of you. She was one of your sisters, all right? If there's anybody you can trust, trust somebody that's worn the badge. And again, for firefighters, she's got the culturally competent clinicians, get your rear ends to her office because you deserve it and you're not alone in your fight. So Carrie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for putting out your phone number. We so appreciate that. And we really wish you all the best. Keep growing. Folks, check out the website because there's lots of other things. And hey, if you're a trainer in your department, check out Carrie's website because she can help you with that. They do a lot more than just clinical support. Carrie, once again, thank you for sharing this time with me. I say with us, but John's not here. With us, with me, and we'll be in touch for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
You know, I think it's pretty clear that everybody could hear loud and clear that Carrie and everybody at First Responders Wellness Center is here for you. If you're in Illinois or if you have federal service, got a lot of feds out there that listen. Carrie and her folks are available to you. So please, you matter. We want to keep you here. Stay in the light. There's always one more move. We can get you directly connected with that. You know, we have got a peer support training coming up. Everybody's heard of crisis incident management. Well, we do a little bit different. And we were asked to come in and start doing peer support training. Thank you, Garland Police Department, for sponsoring this. How do you get in? We've got 3 spots left. 3, because some folks had to do some extra duty. So badgeofhonor.org, it's a pop-up. Boom, get yourself registered. It is absolutely free. We've got you covered. We've also got 4 hours of T-Cole for you. So badgeofhonor.org. Also, John and I said this last week. It is official. Registration is now open. We want to thank our friends at Carry the Load. They do such an amazing job to raise funds that support first responders, family members, veterans, family members of, and our active duty personnel in everything from getting you well, both physically and mentally and everything in between. And we are just so blessed to be nonprofit partners with them again this year. What does that mean? It means that all the money that we raise through the Carry the Load, call it not only a website, but during our campaign, that's the word I was looking for. All the money will come back through Carry the Load. That's where it goes to organizations like ours so that we can continue to do workshops and serve the amazing first responders and veterans that we do every single day, as well as support their family. You guys matter as well. So you go to badgeofhonor.org, scroll down to our partners resources. You will see Carry the Load right there. Boom, click on it and it will take you to our support page. It is live right now. Go and support. You'll see my smiling face in front of a classroom full of people on there. So every dollar counts. Again, it goes to Carry the Load, and we have 50 nonprofits just like ours that we're spreading the wealth and doing phenomenal things. Thank you, Carry the Load, for all of your support. With that, we say thank you to all of our first responders. We have a prayer group of warriors, just like myself, who serve, that pray for you every single day. We want you to come home safe to your family. So all of our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And to all of our active duty personnel across the globe, thank you for keeping our shores safe here at home. We know it is tough on you and your families right now, but we are praying for you as well. And until next week, this is Sam. We are out. Take care, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.